Shoulder season as our subject, and if you are planning any trip coming up here in the next few months, listen up because airfares they jumped about 4% last month in July, but travel experts say now could actually be a good time, the perfect time to book those maybe holiday flights before prices climb even higher, maybe a fall trip somewhere. Here to break down the latest right now in travel trends and share some incredible deals is Katie Nastro, a travel expert from Going. Hi, Katie. How's it going?
Hi, Jane. Thanks so much for having me. And yeah, happy travels. We're coming into Labor Day weekend, which is a big moment for people. But we want people to understand there are so many deals to be had throughout September as well as into the fall.
I mean, I just got back from a huge trip, so I'm done. I'm pretty much tapped out. But let's go ahead and take care of our friends out there watching here on Live Impact News. Let's start with the bigger picture. Airfares went up last month, but you're saying there's actually a good time to book. Explain that.
Yeah, look, this summer we've actually seen people sort of hesitate with those bigger ticket trips, and we've seen a lot of last minute booking. So we did see average price of airfare jump in the last CPI about 4%. But we want people to understand it is still roughly 20% lower from those peaks in June of 2022 when it felt like airfare was at its absolute highest. And we're coming into a shoulder season. And if people aren't really familiar with what a shoulder season is, it's in between sort of a peak, the summer, as well as a low period that's sort of coming after the winter holidays. So it sits right in between two seasons. And it's a really great time to not only get away for the affordability, you're not going to see those sticker shock prices that you do in the summer, but also fewer people tend to travel. You just said yourself, you took your big trip. I myself just came back from a big trip. Probably won't book anything, but then again, I'll probably see a great going deal and decide to get away. So you have more affordability and then less people travel. Kids are back in school, so you don't see as many people on the roads, in the skies. You can take advantage of sort of these destinations that typically are more summer forward, but still see really temperate weather. Places like Western Europe, we just saw a really incredible going deal for the Charlotte area. You can head to Madrid for roughly 542 round trip. That's almost 50% off. And let me tell you, Western Europe, specifically Spain in September, early October, fantastic time of the year to go.
That sounds fantastic. I might just try to keep an eye on that as well. It sounds amazing. How about holiday travel? What do you say is the best time? And really, how much time do people have left before getting a good deal?
Yeah, that's a great question. And really, we want people to start thinking about looking and booking now. We tend to wait until the last minute to book those pricey holiday flights, and we often just surrender to even pricier prices that we see because we wait till the last minute or don't prioritize thinking about it. But I can say in confidence now is really when you should be start thinking about it. So if you are traveling domestically for the Thanksgiving as well as the winter holidays, you're going to want to get those tickets booked roughly at the end of September by the sort of absolute, sort of cross off date. As well as if you are traveling internationally, say for the winter holidays, you're going to want to try to get that booked by the end of August, early September. And we don't want people to think that, okay, that's sort of I'm not going to get an affordable price, but it's just giving you the best odds at getting an affordable price. Cheap flights can happen at any moment. They can really happen at any time, but you have better odds at a cheap flight price popping up within these windows. We call them the Goldilocks windows, sort of not too early, but not too late of when a great deal can pop up. So just for a rule of thumb, we want people to get that book. So sort of target September as your sort of book by date, and then keep your price alerts on. We at Going are always telling people use the tools available. Price monitoring tools are out there. They're free to use, and they really can save you a lot of money even after you've booked. Just make sure you don't book a basic economy ticket. So if you get that alert through the Going app or elsewhere that your flight has actually dropped in price, you can call the airline, rebook, and get that refund in the form of a credit to then use for future trips, which that just means cheaper travel and more travel, which is always good.
That sounds really good. Good advice. As far as Spirit Airlines, speaking of discount carriers and cheaper flights, they're making the headlines lately. What should travelers know if they've booked a flight on Spirit for the next
Yeah.
month or month to maybe 12 months?
Yeah, great question. And we want people to just be aware that, we've heard of Spirit not having the best sort of financial footing. They declared bankruptcy, but that didn't necessarily mean that they were going out of business. Now, fast forward for, right now in our sort of landscape of travel, because of that sort of slower summer, specifically for domestic travel, Spirit is really not in an even better financial place than they thought they would be a few months ago. And so they're looking at ways that they can sort of save cash, looking at opportunities to raise funds. And so we want people to really be aware that they're signaling that things aren't good. So take this time period, if you are looking to book with them for the winter holidays, let that be sort of a last sort of standpoint to, or a last sort of period of when you can book with confidence with them, because the future is a little too murky and we don't want people ending up booking with them for 2026. So maybe you take a trip in February if you're having sort of a family vacation for February holidays. You want to just, word to the wise, caution there. So sort of look at the winter holidays, Thanksgiving, as a safer time period to book with them, but anything sort of 6 months beyond, 4 to 6 months beyond that, we would just ask, word of caution, maybe look at other routes and on other airlines.
Speaking of 2026, I can't believe you guys are already talking about booking trips for summer of 2026. I like this, planning way ahead. Something to look forward to. What should families know?
Yeah, we talk about the Goldilocks windows, and that's really the best opportunity for you to get a great price on those peak time periods like the summer. And I think a lot of people are thinking that, oh, it just finished summer, Matt, I need to start booking my summer trips. And while it's good to get an idea of where you want to head to next summer, we want people to not book too early. So airlines roughly put out schedules like roughly 12 to 11 months in advance. So we want people to start looking for their summer trips, roughly start 10 months out if you are booking internationally. If you're booking domestically, it's pretty early to start booking because airlines don't need to put out those sort of best bargain prices right at the get-go. They have an opportunity to wait a while and let the market fluctuate. So we don't want people to book summer domestic trips too far out. But if you are considering, say, traveling in June for next summer, a big international trip, which early June is a great time of the year to target international trips before the really busy peak time of summer. Now would be a great time to start looking and set up those flight alerts, start monitoring prices so you can get an understanding of what those fares are looking like for next year.
If our viewers want to start finding these deals, what would you say right now, next few months, are the top three trips for booking cheap flights?
Top three. Well, that is a pretty subjective question. I think a lot of people are still going to look at Western Europe specifically. That has topped our list of most searched destinations, places like London, Rome, Greece. These are all locations that people are continually searching for and looking to prioritize for summer months because it really is a magical time of the year to be over there. However, it is also one of the priciest times to be over there. So we do want people to get in their routine and the habit of starting to look now if you are targeting next summer. September, also a great time to start looking for next summer, according to our Goldilocks windows, which is roughly 4 to 10 months out for planning and booking your summer trip to give you the best opportunity at getting a great price. As well as Japan. Japan has topped many lists in terms of international most searched destinations. It's actually our most searched destination according to Going Data for the fall, which it is a spectacular time of the year. I know you said you already had that big trip, but maybe people didn't get away for the summer. They didn't book that big summer trip because, inflation is still very much a part of our day to day. And even though airfare spiked up a little bit, it is still very much affordable, and we're seeing some incredible prices. We actually just saw a flight from the Charlotte area just under roughly $800, 798 to head to Tokyo for this fall. And that's roughly, again, 47% off average prices. So, and there's affordability when you're on the ground because of the currency exchange. So something to consider, and something to consider for 2026, especially because we do believe that Tokyo will still be very popular for people next year.
Yeah, that is on my bucket list. I did come back from Rome and all of the please, right? All right. So before you go, Katie, what would you say are you most excited about for fall travel?
Fall travel, I think anybody that hadn't gotten away for summer, they maybe took fewer trips or maybe a smaller, closer to home trips. We even heard of this travel trend called town sizing, where people actually took day trips to closer, cuter towns nearby, to more affordable, especially because gas prices were down. Instead of taking that sort of bigger summer trip, they did a couple of town sizing trips closer to home. September is actually a great month in terms of affordability compared to the summer. We see, especially for international travel, roughly 20% lower prices compared to those peak summer moments, as well as domestic travel. You can find it more affordably. And yes, with kids back in school, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take them out of school to reap the benefits of affordable travel. Even just taking one day off, targeting the end of September into early October. Great time of the year, especially too because we see more temperate weather. According to NOAA, September of 2024 was the second warmest September in sort of recorded history. So it's definitely a temperate and a warm and pleasurable time of the year to go away. So still targeting those destinations before they start to get chillier is always a great idea.
All right. A pleasure talking to you, Katie Nastro. And say no more. I'll take a little break trying to get away. Appreciate your time. Katie Nastro, for more information, go to the Going app, Going website. This is going.com, right, Katie?
Yes, we also have an app. You can head there. You can go to going.com, and we want to get everybody going more affordably.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Take care.
You too. Until next time.